So we're going to move into the first pose. It's if you have uncomfortable knees, you might want to get blankets. Any supportive blankets or cushions you can place under the knees. And then we're going to come to hands and knees. So if you have wrist issues or your hands hurt, you can always kind of come down to the elbows to rest. But for this next little round of poses, see if you can press into your palms and lengthen up through the shoulders, and see if you can try and, instead of lowering down, see if you can find a nice flattened back by simply tilting the sacrum. And your knees are directly under your hips, so this is in a straight line, and your shoulder and wrist are in a straight line. Inhale, we're going to drop the belly all the way down, start to lift the head up and look towards the ceiling. Exhale, start to pull the navel into the spine, curling upwards, and tuck your chin. Inhale, dropping the belly, lift the heart, lift the head. Exhale, start with the tailbone, arch all the way down the spine, drop the head. I'm going to try a few more rounds, just using your own breath as a guide as to when to move. So let's kind of curl back. You can, if you'd like to, you can rest seated on your feet, or if you'd like to, cross-legged. So just check in. I have a little bit of dizziness already. We're going to find our breath. Place your left palm alongside your left hip. Inhale, your right palm faces up, and you're going to stretch it alongside your ear as you walk the palm away from you, getting a nice side stretch. See if, instead of tilting the head down, you can look up towards the ceiling. And instead of reaching as far as you can, see if you can roll your shoulder back a little bit. If you feel like you need to rest, you can come onto the elbow or use a yoga block here under the elbow. And if you can't look up, looking straight and looking down is perfectly fine. Just a couple more breaths here. See if you can really reach to the fingertips all the way from the hip. And we'll just slowly come up. Take more time if you need it here. Then we're going to put the block on the other side if you used it before. If not, we don't need it. Place the right hand alongside the right hip. Inhale, lift the palm alongside and the arm is alongside the ear. And then slowly start to walk your hands away from you and see what kind of stretch you can get there. If you'd like to rest the bottom arm, use a block under the shoulder. See if you can twist your right ribs up towards the ceiling along with the center of your chest and your heart. So slowly come back up, inhale. Again, I'm feeling dizzy. My speech is starting to, well, it probably has been, but it's getting a little more complicated to communicate the thoughts in my mind through my mouth, which is another sign of neurological Lyme. And take water breaks. Take rest breaks, take water breaks anytime you need to. So we're going to move back to that cat-cow position. Hands and knees on the ground. Same way that you had it before. If you have socks on, now would be the time to take them off. We're going to, let's see if I can flex our toes. Instead of coming down on the front of our feet, we're going to flex our toes, press down on them, and relax our sits bones to our heels. So we're really stretching out the base of the feet. And I can kind of feel it even going up my tendons and my ankle. And you can kind of choose what to do with hands here. If you want to go a little bit lower, want to get a little bit higher, you can kind of move around to see what feels good. Then slowly come out. Find your palms shoulder width distance apart, so directly from your shoulders. Untuck the toes for a moment. Take a breath. And we're moving into... Get out of here. Sorry about that. We are... No! Ugh. Anyway. So we're moving to downward facing dog. So our palms are coming up towards the top of the mat. Now we're going to tuck the toes again and see if you can engage your belly, really arching the spine and lifting up. Bring the knees up. They can stay bent if you want to. Maybe your heels don't reach. It's okay if they don't. And then from here, allow your shoulders to sink back. Drop your head in line with your arms. I can't do that because I have the neurological symptoms, so I lift my head up and look out straight, and that feels a lot better. If this is too much, you can come down onto the knees at any time. So make sure you're breathing. Press into the feet. So you can feel the hamstrings and the back of the legs lengthening. And if you'd like to, you kind of can pedal out your heels so you can focus on one leg at a time. Remember to keep engaging the core. You might not even think about your core here, but it's important because it helps hold the body out. Exhale, finally drop the knees. We're coming to child's pose. So your big toes touch. Your knees come out like a V. And you slowly start to lower your forehead down to the ground. And arms can be long, or you can wrap them around you, palms face up by the feet. This doesn't feel super great for me, so I'm going to put a block so my head isn't lower than my spine. Underneath my forehead, directly under my forehead. In this pose, just surrender, come to stillness and quiet. Allow your body to soften. Next, inhale, start to walk the palms back. I'm going to place the yoga block back at the top of the mat. So if you have 2 yoga blocks, I always like to keep them handy. You never know when you're going to need them. So the next thing we're going to be working on is the front of our legs and our hips by doing lunges. So we'll start small from tabletop position and see if you can just lengthen your leg, and again, flexing the foot. Swap sides. So inhale, see if you can press back up to downward dog. If not, that's okay, you stay at tabletop. Either way, you're going to lift up your right leg and see if you can pull it in towards the chest and drop it down at the top of the mat. If you're in tabletop, it'd look more like lifting up the knee, lifting up the foot, putting in front of you. Same thing. So from here, find your 2 blocks. I like to put them on medium level. And untuck your back toe if you can. And you're going to wiggle your foot long so you find a nice lunge. Again, notice that your ankle is directly below your knee. And your back leg, see if you can really press up to the back of the knee. And try not to let it too much bend. So we're going to stay here for a minute. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the head. Exhale, drop the knee down, drop the back of the foot down. And now we're really going to start to work into the front hip flexors. So I'm going to move my blocks up one bit. And this time I'm going to say you can move your knee forward of the ankle. So you get a little bit of crease there. And you're going to start to find your breath. And you should be feeling it in the front of your left hip flexor, very much so. And imagine that you're kind of bringing your right sit bone down to your heel and allowing everything just to sink. If you want to, you can go downward here, coming down onto the elbows or the hands, dropping the head. But keep this right leg activated, really strong, pressing down through the foot. I prefer to stay up. Tuck the back toes. Slowly shift the hips back and just drag the foot back. Find child's pose again. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling everything out of the body. Notice if you feel a difference between the 2 hips. Next, inhale. We're going to come back up to downward dog or tabletop, whichever one you did before. So get comfortable. Find your alignment. Inhale with the left leg. Exhale, bend the knee. Curl the knee in towards your chest, and then you're going to use the spring of your back foot to roll forward and drop the foot down. And then kind of need to my back foot to lengthen. So I'm going to use my 2 blocks under my palms. It helps lengthen my arms. My arms are pretty short. So when I need to lift my chest up or off of my leg, this gives me more length to do that. Exhale, drop the back knee, untuck the back toes. And then slowly start to shift the hips forward. So this time it's your left sitting bone coming down towards the heel. And if you feel like it, you can melt down. I prefer to kind of stay up. Make sure your shoulders are rolling back, lift the heart, lift the head. And this might be kind of like a rude awakening because we don't really think of the front of our hips very much, but as Lyme patients, again with so much sitting, the front of our hips really glue together, almost making us those muscles shorter. Exhale, gently move the hips back, take the foot with you, drag it, big toes together, or you can bring the knees together and find your child's pose.